Hello and welcome to Theater Operations Unleashed, the monthly show that explores the ins and outs of theater operations, management, facilities, and design. I'm your host, Raymond Kent. In each episode, we will be focusing on management, operations, design, trends, and best practices in the performing arts. I hope to bring you both insights from my 4 decades in the industry, as well as engaging conversations with theater professionals about the challenges and rewards of their work. We'll also cover a wide range of topics from budgeting and scheduling to marketing and audience development, theater technology, and many other related topics. Whether you're a theater maker yourself or just interested in the industry, I hope you'll find this podcast informative and inspiring. So sit back, relax, or lean in, and let's dive into the world of theater.
Welcome back, and today we are stepping into spaces where performers prepare, recover, breathe, and become the artists we see on stage. We're talking, of course, about dressing rooms, green rooms, warm-up spaces, showers, restrooms, hallways, and quiet corners. These are the places where performers gather themselves physically, mentally, emotionally before stepping into the light. And yet, in theaters after theater, these are some of the least accessible spaces in the entire building. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about dressing rooms and all these other spaces and the comfort and dignity and the spaces where artists become artists. So let's get into it. When we talk about accessibility backstage, most people think about the stage, the wings, the booth, the fly system, just like we talked about in our last episode. But the spaces performers use the most, the spaces where they spend hours every day and are often the ones we overlook, the dressing rooms. With narrow doorways, no turning radiuses, counters too high for seated performers, benches fixed to the wall, makeup mirrors mounted at stand height. Green rooms with no accessible seating, no accessible kitchenette, no clear circulation paths, showers with no roll-in access, no grab bars, no handheld shower heads. These aren't small inconveniences. They're barriers to employment. Because if a performer can't get ready, they can't perform. And a performer can't perform, they can't work. A dressing room is more than a room. It's also a sanctuary, a space of preparation and privacy. It's where performers change clothes, apply makeup, manage medical needs, warm up, cool down, regulate emotions, prepare for the vulnerability of a performance. And accessibility here is about more than mobility. It's about privacy, dignity, and autonomy. A fully accessible dressing room could include many things, but including a 32-inch minimum clear door width, a 5-foot turning radius, adjustable height counters. How about mirrors usable from seated and standing positions? Clear floor space beside the benches, accessible electrical outlets, space for mobility devices, or accessible storage. And here's the part most organizations miss. Every production should have at least one fully accessible dressing room, even if no one has requested it, because accessibility isn't reactive, it's anticipatory. Now let's look at the green room, the living room of the theater. The green room is the social heart of the backstage world. It's where performers wait, rest, eat, hydrate, connect, decompress. How many green rooms are down a flight of stairs, too cramped for mobility devices? Filled with mismatched furniture that blocks circulation, equipped with counters and appliances out of reach, loud, chaotic, and overstimulating. An accessible green room could include step-free access, flexible furniture layouts, seating with arms and without arms, accessible tables and counters. How about a quiet corner or low stimulation zone, clear sightlines, and a space for service animals? This isn't a luxury, it's basic hospitality. And of course, if we're talking about actor spaces, we need to talk about showers, restrooms, and hygiene spaces. Because it's something that rarely gets discussed openly. Performers sweat, performers change, performers need to shower, performers need to use the restroom. And yet backstage hygiene spaces are often the least accessible in the building. Common barriers include narrow stalls, no grab bars, roll-in showers, no accessible sinks, no space for mobility devices, and no accessible grooming area. Performers shouldn't have to choose between hygiene and employment. Accessible hygiene spaces could look like something with roll-in showers and benches, handheld shower heads. How about grab bars, accessible sinks and counters, turning space, private non-gendered options, clear unobstructed routes. We often are looking at these things in the front of house, in the lobby, but we also need to pay attention to these backstage as well. These spaces communicate respect. And what about warm-up and rehearsal spaces? Performers need to warm up their instrument in all kinds of ways. Vocal exercises, stretching, mobility work, meditation, physical therapy routines. But many warm-up spaces have no accessible route, are cluttered, have uneven floors, lack accessible bars, have no seating options, are too small for mobility devices. An accessible warm-up space really should look like something with smooth, level flooring, clear circulation paths. How about adjustable height bars? Space for mobility devices, seating options, good acoustics, good lighting? How about for pets that are going to be their service animals? Warm up is part of the job, and the space must support it. And then we can't not discuss sensory and cognitive accessibility backstage. Not all accessibility is physical. Backstage can be loud, bright, fast-paced, overstimulating, disorienting. For performers who are autistic, neurodivergent, or have sensory processing differences, backstage can be overwhelming. Best practice includes a designated quiet room, clear signage, predictable pathways, reduced sensory zones. How about visual schedules, communication norms, consistent cues? These support to help everyone, not just disabled performers. It's a culture of care. At the end of the day, performer support spaces are about care. Care for the body, care for the mind, care for the craft, care for the community. Accessibility in these spaces says, we value you, we respect you, and we want you to succeed. We want you to feel safe, comfortable, and supported. And that message shapes the entire production, because when performers feel supported backstage, they perform better on stage. So dressing rooms, green rooms, warm-up spaces, and hygiene areas are not afterthoughts. These are essential workplaces. And when we design them with disabled performers in mind, we create spaces that are more humane, more flexible, more comfortable, and more equitable for everyone. Accessibility backstage isn't just about compliance. It's about dignity. It's about care. It's about building a performing arts world where every performer, every body, every mind can thrive. In the next episode, we're going to move into the front of house experience, the spaces where audiences arrive, gather, and form their first impressions. And we'll ask the same question. Who were these spaces built for, and who were they built without?
Thanks for taking the time today to listening to Theater Operations Unleashed. We hope to see you next month.